As you all know, Season 2 changed a lot for Street Fighter 6, and you could spend hours looking at the patch notes. Instead of doing that, we'll wait a bit and outsource our efforts to Twitter to see the best tech and thoughts from top players on how this patch is shaking out. We'll go through each character, look at their most impactful and coolest changes, and then rate how buff they got. The big winners, people that got buffed, people that we're not really sure if it's a net buff or nerf because really it's too early to tell, and the characters we know for sure that got nerfed. And we'll start with Ryu, and Ryu's obviously in the winner. So people are talking about a couple big winners, and Ryu is one of them. Ryu got some really crazy buffs, and I think the biggest one is the Denjin change. Basically, it means that you can keep your Denjin charge till later. So here, you did regular Fireball, then you do the Denjin Fireball. You can also cancel the EX and the Super, so very, very strong. It basically makes it so Ryu's very hard to zone out in this game now, because you can spend the Denjin charge whenever. You can throw regular fireballs, get them to throw regular fireballs to contest, and then throw your Denjin charge, which has 2 hits to beat the regular fireball. I think that alone changes so many matchups for Ryu, and matchups where he had to approach, now he can stay back, force the opponent to come, take more risk, and I think that's a big game changer. You got some swag combos, right? This is showing off this buff right here with the back heavy kick, and you can do some really cool juggles with this, and that's gonna kill, I think. Very, very strong. And there's some other cool things, like for example, Ryu's forward heavy punch is now +3 on block, which means he gets some more mix up. But I think just Denjin change alone is one of the best changes that you can ask for the character. And people agree. You know, this is Big Bird, strongest Marissa back in Season 1, and he thinks Ryu is actually better than Ken currently. And Ken actually kind of got net buffs, so this is really saying something that a lot of people are thinking Ryu's top tier, and the results back it up. So this is literally a day 1 tournament, technically I guess day 2, but this is TNS, one of the most stacked US tournaments, and Paladin won. I think this is his first TNS win. Paladin, as you guys know, he took out Punk in CPT East to prevent him from qualifying, and Paladin won this tournament, very stacked, and yeah, Ryu stocks are really up, so I think this character is for sure a winner of this patch. All right, so Luke. He has a few changes. Most notably, he does less damage. So crouch medium punch has more scaling, crouch heavy punch has less scaling, and it's worse of a anti-air. But honestly, I think this character kind of got through scot-free, and he actually got some buffs as well. So for example, you know, everyone knows that they nerfed back throw Oki just in case there's like a perfect parry, and here we still get really good Oki. This is +1 on block. You see this little screen shake that happens when the stand heavy kick is blocked, and yeah, very, very strong. This is new in this patch, where they basically gave stand heavy kick an extra active frame. You also have other stand heavy kick Oki here too. There's a lot of different like Oki and combo options that Luke has now. Very, very strong, and I think the Luke players are still developing the tech, but honestly, he looks mostly unscathed, and Mena basically agrees. He thinks that Luke is a stronger character. I agree. I jump heavy punch. It's still really hard to anti-air, and the combos are still pretty similar. Now, this character does do less damage than before, but this is an example of DP punish, and you still get pretty good damage. You can still do the back heavy kick. You can still you can still make him explode, but you do less damage per hit. But I think that's fine. As you can see, this character is still doing chunks to your health. So I think just based solely on the fact that Luke was arguably #1 in Season 1, and he probably got buffed slightly, or maybe he didn't get buffed that much. He's still a big winner in this patch. Not obviously as much as Ryu, but I still expect Luke to be top tier in this patch. We'll put him in buff tier. All right, so Chun-Li is kind of boring. Basically, she just got a lot more scaling on some of her moves, and there's not really much to talk about. I wish there was like cool Twitter tech I could talk about with Chun-Li, but it's mostly just nerfs. However, one of the, I guess you could say, buffs is this is only -3 now instead of -4, so you can be a little safer throwing this out. This means that stand medium punch is no longer punishable. But other than that, like, I guess some things did change with Chun. So for example, she might have to do new combo routes because some of her scaling got changed on some moves, but not others. So this does slightly more than her old route with 5 heavy kick, right? This is another change. I guess Chun-Li no longer goes over the opponent. Before, you used to be able to cross up. I don't know if that's a buff or a nerf. But yeah, honestly, Chun-Li's boring. All right, so I will say this character overall got nerfed. She doesn't have anything fun to play with, just basically damage nerfs. All right, so let's talk about Jamie, and the most impactful change is his dive kick. Now, you know, this normally would, you know, what's gonna happen here? Yeah, any other character, this would go straight under, but you see he started the dive kick, and the dive kick has an absolutely terrible hitbox. Now they changed it. They buffed it a lot. It's a lot better, and that's no longer going to happen. But they buffed a lot of other things about Jamie, including his combo damage and combo routes, and I think this is absolutely insane. This is kind of a will it kill clip because I did not think this would kill. Spoiler alert, yeah, that did way too much fucking damage, especially off of an anti-air. I know it's Akuma, but these new routes are actually insane. A couple other notable changes after the heavy palm. He can get a safe jump. He only used to get it off of the little spin thing, but now he gets it off of heavy palm 2, which does more damage. And this is another example of just how high Jamie's damage is. I think the 5 heavy punch is the new part there. And that's actually all the same. But yeah, that's also Akuma just having lower health. So yeah, Jamie looking very, very strong this patch. I mean, looking stronger. I still don't know if he's top tier, you know, he still has the issue where he has to drink, unfortunately. But I think arguably he's one of the most buff characters because he just does more damage. He just does everything better. Even just looking at this list, there's a lot of like changes I think kind of go under the radar. And one of them to me is the Rekka change. So for example, drinks on block, they take away more drive. So you get more drive for landing the Rekka, and you basically have like more drive gauge decrease. Yeah, I think that's really good. Drive's really important in this game, and not to mention all these other like minor changes. I think they add up, but really big impact for Jamie. Oh yeah, and heavy palm safe on block. How the fuck did I forget about that? So yeah, heavy palm's just better to use in neutral too. All right, so Guile, nothing really changed too much about Guile. This is Lex, 3rd place at EVO Japan. Guile basically feels the same. Like they did a lot of rescaling and damage nerfs, but Guile did get a couple cool things. He has some new combos with the EX boom. So take a look at this combo that he does here. Shimmy, yep, get the full wall bounce. And yeah, that did a fucking chunk. 4.2k against Akuma. I think the main change with Guile is, you know, the parry system is a lot different. So it's easier to parry booms now because if you tap parry and you time it wrong, you're more likely to get the parry against Guile. So I think in general, I think he's kind of okay. He's pretty similar to where he was. And I think Guile being pretty similar to where he was isn't really a bad thing because he was already quite strong. All right, let's talk about Kim. I already like did a Kim video. I think she got buffed. I'll talk about this without going to Twitter. So I've been playing a lot of Kim. I think she got buffed overall. I think most characters that don't have an invincible reversal, wake up drive reversal is really important for them. But I think here's a summary of her biggest change. Just look at this combo. And then you can cross up and you can do mix. That's 2 of her changes in one. 1, you get the mid-screen EX grab, and 2, you get to pause your command dash without like, how I say, going into the run, so you can do Oki in more situations. There we go. Other than that, like, she's a little better at anti-airing. She can cancel this into level 2. But honestly, nothing is really super impactful. The most impactful thing is wake up drive reversal and this super being faster, so you can do it as a reversal and you don't have to spend the bomb, which means you get to keep your resource more. So I think overall, definitely buffed, but not as buffed as some of the other characters in Winners. All right, so Juri is a character that, as you guys know, won $1 million. So you would think that she would get nerfed, but actually she got buffed. She didn't get anything crazy. This is one of the changes right here where you can do light into EX store, and it gives you a hit confirm off lights. That's a little bit better, and you also get, you know, a store for your combos to continue into, you know, big damage into level 3. The other big thing is that her axe kick, yeah, used to whiff pre-patch, but now in the battle update, yeah, you get a combo off it. So it's a better anti-air. I already think that, like, you know, her DP was already really good, but now if you want to cash out, get a little bit extra damage, you can do that with Juri. But honestly, yeah, she's pretty much the same. Not much going on with her, but she did get some buffs. You would think this character would get nerfed. Not really. So not much to talk about her. We'll put her at buff, but not as buffed as some of the other characters. All right, so Dhalsim, you think this character, not very well represented at majors, would get more buffs, but he has one of the shortest changelogs of anyone. Thankfully, Mr. Crimson, one of the strongest Dhalsims in the world, we can farm his Twitter for content. So here's a couple of examples. This is a new bread and butter on standing opponents. This used to be a pain. You could like punish his mediums on block with a jab, and then you just die. You can now do things safely that you couldn't before. All right, the other big change I think is this overdrive yoga blast. There's less scaling and that you can actually juggle. I think level 1 used to work before, but now level 2 works, and it does more damage. As you can see, we have the 100% scaling. So his anti-air damage got definitely buffed, and you know, it's awesome. You don't want people to jump at you. Being able to deter that with super meter is really strong. So he generally got buffed, but it's not by much, but it's definitely in the positive direction. So we'll call him slightly buffed. All right, so Honda's an interesting character because when people first saw the changes, everyone was fucking doom and glooming about this character for a couple of reasons. One, this no longer works. The butt slam pushes you way far out. You can't even get a crouch light punch in some situations, even though you are still plus. So that's unfortunate, and it nerfs his butt slam a lot. And same thing with headbutt, you're now +3 distance. It's less minus on block by like a frame, but unfortunately the RPS is a lot worse because you're closer, which means a lot of characters can contest with mediums. There's not much Honda can do about it other than like, you know, EX headbutt or just like holding it or walking back. So I think overall both of these have been nerfed. So you might think, oh no, Honda's in the trash, right? But I think it kind of nerfed the lower rank Honda players, but I think the higher ranked Honda players are actually eating. Here's a couple of examples. So stand medium punch got buffed. It's more plus on block and it goes further, so you can kind of just keep harassing with it. And obviously this confirms into level 3 if he wants to go into level 3. You can do really cool shit like this with Honda. You can get cross up sweep. I don't know if this is like, gonna be actually practical, maybe just because it uses so much drive, but there's probably some other cool shit you can do with that because of the back hit sweep juggle. They buffed his crouch medium kick too. This is a big issue Honda had. Before, you weren't that plus, you couldn't really catch here, but also now you can cancel this in the hands. You have multiple different ways to catch people walking back. And as you can know, walking back is really strong in this game because you can walk out of throw range and then make them whiff, and they're gonna have a hard time. This is one other example. So butt slam's now a hard knockdown, so if the butt slam hits, it's more reward, and that means you get mix, you can do throw, you can do a lot of cool things. It means you get to save your drive meter for an actual mix-up. Overall, I'm not sure. I'm gonna put this character in okay because I really don't know where this character is gonna end up, honestly. And you know what? I'm gonna move Luke down here as well because I really don't know where Luke's gonna be. But I think Luke overall, like, still a W, but it's kind of hard to say. So this is more of like the we're not sure tier. All right, so Ken is a character that I feel like is one of the most complained about characters in Street Fighter 6, and you would think this character would get nerfed, but actually that's not the case. All the downplaying people have done about Ken, you know, this random YouTuber saying, not Sajam, but Sajam's just reading a random comment. Ken have the worst fireball in the game. Jinrai is not real. If you're losing the Dragon Lash, you're bad. You guys have probably seen Phenom on Twitter downplaying the character, and the campaign has worked because this character actually got buffs. They actually buffed Jinrai where, you know, you couldn't do dash because you're basically unsafe. And now you have more advantage on Jinrai. I can't believe they actually buffed Jinrai kick. You can go for a quick dash, which means you can mix up with overhead. You can mix up with low. So yeah, you get better Oki on Jinrai kick. Okay, that's great. Just what we needed. But also, he got some changes where he can do a run cancel from his crouch medium kick, medium punch, and a combo. And also, this crouch medium kick used to not hit before. Now it hits, and you can do run cancel and Tatatsu. And yeah, it used to be really hard to convert from that range. Now you can convert. So a lot of quality of life changes. Main nerf that I see is this right here, the Chin Buster, which is this target combo. You used to not be able to frame trap, but I don't think it's that big of an issue. Obviously, it has some scaling stuff too. But yeah, I think overall, he's pretty similar. Just a very slight buff to the point where I'm not sure if I want to put him in okay or buff, but we'll put him in buff just because I gotta combat the Ken downplaying. All right, so let's talk about Blanca, and I think this is the only thing you need to know. Mena RD, obviously the best Blanca in the world. Sorry you had to be sacrificed, my brother. It was a good time, and it's mainly because of the Air EX ball no longer being plus on block. And this is actually, it seems like, oh, just one move, like what's the big deal? This is probably one of the best defensive options in the game, and actually one of the best offensive options, right? Now, it's not 100% unsafe, right? Like, it depends on where it hits. So you can see I'm only +1 here, but if it hits like my feet, which is kind of hard to do, honestly, because you don't, you know, the opponent moves around. But let's say I'm like here then, you know, Blanca is still plus. So it's not the worst change. You basically go from it being your turn on block to maybe it being your turn on block. And most of the times it's not going to be your turn on block, especially for an option that's really general all around good, right? It's really good in defensive because it beats throws and it beats shimmy. It's really good in offense because you can like bait throws with it and then take your turn again. And a lot of these situations, even if it's blocked, it's not a big deal. Now it's a lot bigger deal because you're minus in your opponent's face, which means they get a strike throw mix up. And Blanca got a little bit to compensate, but the main change was the OD rainbow buff. And so this is an example of a combo he can do. Basically this OD Blanca Ball wouldn't combo before, now it does. And you know, you can get a safe jump, you get a little bit extra damage, but still it's like, is it really that much to compensate? I don't really think so. So I'm gonna put Blanca in nerfed. But again, these nerfs aren't actually that bad. Chun-Li didn't get nerfed that much, Blanca didn't get nerfed that much. All right, so speaking of nerf characters, we have DJ, which I think is arguably, at least based on Twitter, the character most people are complaining about. So DJ lost some combo routes. This is an example. Used to be able to juggle with this move here. It does not work anymore. He got some new combo routes to compensate. I think the biggest change here is this jump leg kick. So this used to be really obnoxious to deal with, and even if you anti-aired, it is really hard to get like something substantial. Now it's force punish counter, and if you go for this move, which was arguably one of the best jump moves in the game, yeah, you literally just die for it. But at the same time, DJ still has this broken drive rush. He still has very good fireball. He still has very good mix. He still has sway. I think this character is still gonna be fine. I think all these characters in nerfed here are still gonna be fine, but he's obviously one of the most nerfed characters because of those changes. All right, so let's talk about Manon, and we're gonna farm Joey FGC. What, probably the best Manon in America. Item's also really good, but yeah, they got some really good tech. And one of the big changes here was this back heavy punch. This shit used to be minus, and this is a frame kill, so now you're like plus a lot, right? Which means you can do some really cool things and get more strike throw opportunities. I think that's probably one of her best buffs. Now she got a couple other buffs too, mostly for combos and that sort of thing. So she does more damage, she gets better Oki on certain situations. Here's another, right? Yeah, so crouch medium kick is better. You get this combo. This combo's new here too. So yeah, basically better combos, better damage, overall a better character. And what does Joey think? I'm not gonna look at the Manon buffs through rose tinted glasses, but the damage and normal buffs are nice. But unfortunately, she still has the same issues. She still can't consistently spin through fireballs, back heavy punch, lacks range, etc. So she's probably not gonna be top tier, but she's at least a character, right? So overall buff, but is it enough? Probably not. So let's talk about Marissa. Marissa is kind of a mixed bag. I'm not sure where she lands. This is actually a huge nerf. So before you used to get a full combo here, now you just break the armor and you're only +2. So that's probably the most massive nerf that she got. But she also got some stuff to compensate, right? So this is a lot more damage off of anti-air. That target combo conversion's new. So basically she gets more damage off stuff, which it's Marissa. She deserves to get a lot of damage off stuff. So I guess it makes sense. It's kind of true to her character. Another nerf that she got here was this, after level 3, you get a worse knockdown situation. You can still drive rush and get something, so it's not like the worst thing. As you guys know, like one of the most important things to do against Marissa is perfect parry her stuff. A lot of her stuff is slow, it's reactable. Parry has more whiff recovery, that's a punish. So I think the parry changes benefit Marissa a lot because you can make stuff whiff and whatnot. So Big Bird, obviously best Marissa in the world. Marissa feels good. System mechanics and characters getting nerfed works in her favor. To me, it's kind of like, we're not sure. She's still good. Makes sense, but we're not sure where this is actually gonna help her land on the tier list. Let's talk about JP. I think he might be one of the most nerfed characters in the game. Got a lot of hurt box adjustments, so basically he's now easier whiff punish on a lot of things. And most importantly, crouch medium kick, medium punch, and stand medium quick are a lot easier to whiff punish because of the hurt box addition. He has more scaling on things. Super R2 is slower. Super R3, you don't get Oki afterwards. So overall, he's looking a lot nerfed. But I would for the Banana Ken, who in my opinion is one of the best JPs in the world, who says JP seems fine. And he also got a buff on the OD Streebog, which is this swipe, so you get better conversions off the swipe, so that way you don't have to spend drive rush, therefore you can be more meter efficient with your combos, right? I actually think the nerf before was probably a little bit more impactful. The OD Amnesia nerf was huge because now you don't feel like you're risking your whole life to throw him, but yeah, definitely one of the most nerfed characters. All right, so let's talk about Cammy. I think overall she's nerfed. I'm gonna farm this video by Shinlad. Shout outs to him. Always makes really good content. couple big nerfs this character got was one that his side swap combo does a little less damage. Okay, whatever, not really that big of a nerf, but I think this nerf is absolutely huge, which is OD Spin Knuckle, which used to go through fireballs almost immediately on reaction. Now it's a lot harder to go through fireballs on reaction. I think it's active frame 9, which means that it's so much harder to get around fireballs. She used to invalidate some characters that were zoners. So I think this change in general is a massive nerf to Cammy. So after forward throw, there's more distance, which means meterless, you don't really get much. So you have to commit to drive rushing. You have to commit to something like stand heavy punch that loses to drive reversal. So overall, she got nerfed, but she did get a few buffs as well, mostly on the combo side. This is basically like the new Cammy B&B, and you get a lot more corner carry. And in the corner, you can do DP as well. So more corner carry and more damage to the corner. And stand heavy kick is -3, so she can drive rush and press it, but I don't think it's actually that big a change. So overall, I think she got nerfed. Also, I don't know why Shinlad put this picture in the video, but okay, sure. But yeah, I think the spin knuckle change is probably the biggest, and that's definitely a nerf. Okay, so anyways, let's talk about Lily. Now, people were dooming about this character because Crouch Heavy Punch had a worse hurt box. But yeah, she actually got a lot of different combo routes, so this is a new example. This also shows off her stand leg kick buff. It's easier to shimmy from. It's also more plus, so you don't have to worry about people mashing as much. And yeah, this new combo. So she does pretty good damage. A lot of this stuff you'll see is new combos as well. So there's a couple combos from Javits, like Lab Tech Guy Extraordinaire. Level 1's faster, and you can do it in more situations. So she basically does more damage, which is really nice. And I think overall Lily players are eating. No, iPeru has been putting in work. iPeru, old school Street Fighter player, kind of come in late in Street Fighter 6, but just got third in the first Street Fighter 6 Season 2 tournament with Lily. So I think she's looking pretty good. But according to this Redditor, you know, she's still the worst character in the game, and Lily was net nerfed. I'm not quite sure about that. The argument they make is that you know, her tools are still bad. She relies a lot on lights, and the light scaling being worse is not a good thing for her. But I think overall she got buffed. But you know, I was watching the footage from Tampa Never Sleeps, and honestly, iPeru is basically just doing the same stuff as before, right? And I think overall she got buffed, but it honestly probably won't impact her place on the tier list as much as maybe, you know, characters like Aki being better, and you know, she counters that and whatnot. But yeah, overall I think it's a slight buff. Nothing too crazy for Lily. Also, drive reverse, wake up drive reversal, I think helps her because she doesn't have a invincible DP. All right, so I can talk. Aki's easy. Ed basically got like no changes. Rashid basically got no changes. So Zangief's the only one we have to research, and then we're pretty much done. All right, I actually don't know what the fuck they changed about this character. Do you guys know what Snake Eyes feel about the character? He's streaming. Ask him. I could definitely ask Snake Eyes. All right, actually, fuck it. Yeah, let's just we'll add some variety to the video. All right, let's see what Snake says.
How buffed is Yo, what's up, Diaphone? How buffed is Zangief this patch on a scale of 1 to 10? How buffed?
Here comes a new challenger.
If someone who kind of played Zangief dropped him and then they're playing him again, they would notice headbutt hell stab is like pretty big, and then I don't think they would notice anything else at all. But he can do this in a combo.
So basically like a 5. Okay, got it. All right, so that's the Snake. Snake said he goes in this tier. All right, so overall, yeah, you heard from Snake. Maybe like a 5 or a 6, but I think he's looking pretty good just looking at Twitter. We got Itazan looking very happy in the YouTube thumbnail. Snake was talking about this before, but the perfect parry change helps Zangief a lot just because you can grab a whiff parry from really, really far. And this 2 heavy punch is a pretty good whiff punch. I don't know how consistent this is going to be, but he does do more damage now, which is super nice, right? Headbutt does more damage. It does more chunks on your drive gauge. You build more meter. So overall, I think he's just looking quite good. And you know, I'll include this combo as well. This is like a change that no one gives a shit about, but you never know, someone might land this grand finals at Evo. It could be Snake Eyes. Land this super impractical combo. But this is also a buff that he got. I think it's the juggle point on the lariat that makes this possible. So yeah, overall, I think he got buffed. He seems to be pretty good. Obviously, Snake Eyes is kind of cooking. Almost number 1 on the leaderboards. They seem to also buff his good moves. So for example, Snake is literally fucking spamming that drive rush overhead. That move got way better. I think he's one of the more buff characters in the game. I'm gonna put him maybe like up here. Yeah, he's looking pretty good. Almost one of the most buffed. All right, so Rashid does not have that much to talk about. Even Big Bird himself said it here, which Rashid basically feels the same. The slide buff is really good though. Basically, you can cancel the slide into super art, which means you get more damage, you know, reading a fireball with the slide. But he also has some really cool setups. So this is a setup. People are still fleshing these out, but this is probably the coolest one I've seen, where you can cancel the slide into level 2 and make it go the other way. Cancel slide into level 1, go into the tornado, and then you get even more damage. There's gonna be some really cool things that come about that, but that's the main change. Honestly, Rashid didn't change that much. I would probably put him in okay. He technically got buff. I don't think he actually has a net nerf, so I'll probably put him in buff, but I think the buffs are so minor that doesn't really matter. Actually, Rashid did, I forgot about this. Rashid did lose super art gain on his level 2, so maybe I'll put him here. And that one's debatable. That one's debatable. Yeah, so Ed literally got nothing. As you can see, there's like no new Ed tweets about it. I think even Brian F said something. Patch notes basically say he's basically the same. Boring. So Crouch Late Punch is no longer punchable on block. All right, literally nothing to talk about Ed. So we'll put him in okay tier because yeah, nothing really changed. And that leaves Aki. Now I have a video on my channel about Aki, or I'm gonna if it's not posted yet. And yeah, I think she's one of the most buff characters in the game. Just a TLDR. Actually, all you need to know about Aki is she used to be bad against fireballs. Now her cower crouch punch now goes through fireballs, does a lot more damage. And I mean, it goes through fireballs. Now she can beat zoners. She used to have a really hard time with zoners, and now she beats them. So that's a huge change in itself. Well, probably one of the best buffs this patch, if not the best. Tons of quality life changes like better anti-air, better combo conversions. She's really buffed. I don't know. It's either, I think she actually might be the most buff character, but also reused engine charge is like so good too. It's kind of hard to tell. All right, let's reorder this real quick. I think JP got nerfed more than DJ. I think Blanca, the OD ball is a huge change, but DJ's damage got changed. I think these three definitely got hurt the worst. Yeah, you know what? I'm an Aki player now, so I got downplay, so we're putting Ryu as number 1. Ed's like a no change, right? Ed's like the only kind of character. I feel like Rashid changes aren't that big. And like, so I'll put them in okay. If they didn't really get that many changes, I'm gonna put them in okay as well. Like there's certain characters like Manon and Lily, like they got beneficial buffs. It's kind of same thing with Kim and Dhalsim and Ken. I don't know, they don't really change that much. I feel like this whole road, their gameplay doesn't change that much, but they're all net buffs, and in certain situations they'll pop up. And yeah, I think these three, their gameplay changes a lot. I think Jamie maybe not as much as the other two, where they have fundamental design. They fundamentally play matchups differently because of their buffs, where Jamie I feel like just does more damage and overall is just buffed way more than characters are buffed. So anyways, let me know what you guys think. Obviously this is subjective. I tried my best based on what people are saying on Twitter. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Anyways, take care, y'all. Peace.